Hi everyone, I'm back for part 3 of the true stories of the shark attacks of 1916, the celebration of my new graphic novel out. A big shout out to Georgia Ball, who did the beautiful adaptation of this graphic novel, and these amazing artists from Argentina who work with House Studio. So I really hope you're going to like that, and maybe you'll be thinking of some of these facts as you read that. So when I last left you, we were talking about why so few people believe that a shark could have attacked a human back in 1916 following the death of Charles Van Zandt, who was the first person to be killed during the famous shark attacks of 1916 that my books are based on. So let's pick it up again. Why did people have such doubts? For most Americans in 1916, the oceans covering 3/4 of Earth were as mysterious as distant galaxies. The study of oceans, known as marine biology, was a brand new science. The ocean's depths were unexplored, a world where mermaids very well might be living in sunken cities, where tentacled sea monsters could be guarding treasure chests overflowing with jewels. Almost nothing was known about large sharks or any types of sea creatures that weren't routinely captured by fishermen or easily observed from close to shore. But there was one fact about sharks that most everyone was certain of. No shark would ever bite a live human being. Even the most respected scientists mistakenly believed that sharks were shy creatures with weak jaws and small appetites. Never had there been a proven case of a live person being bitten by a shark. To people living in 1916, the idea that a shark had killed Charles Van Zandt was as far-fetched as the idea of a deer attacking a man while he was strolling through the woods. Somehow, news of Van Zandt's death didn't spread very far, and those who'd heard the rumors figured it was a freak accident. Americans had enough to worry about with a war in Europe. A man being killed by a fish just wasn't big news until 5 days later, when it happened again. It's unknown whether 27-year-old Charles Bruder had heard about the tragic death of Charles Van Zandt, but even if he had, it's unlikely that the story would have stopped him from enjoying his daily swims along the beach in Spring Lake, an elegant vacation town about 45 miles north of Beach Haven. Bruder worked at the Grand Essex and Sussex Hotel, where his cheerful smile and high spirits made him popular among both wealthy guests and his fellow co-workers. When Bruder wasn't hauling trunks and suitcases and helping guests get settled into their rooms, he loved to swim in the ocean until his muscles ached, and that's just what he was doing in the early afternoon of July 6th. He was about 120 yards from shore, his muscular arms churning through the water with graceful strokes. Suddenly, without warning, he was savagely attacked by a large shark. More than 500 people were on the beach this time. Most heard Bruder's screams. One woman glimpsed something red bobbing up and down in the water and was convinced that a red canoe had overturned. She alerted the surfmen, who quickly mobilized for the rescue. But of course there was no canoe, just the badly injured Bruder struggling to stay afloat in water filled with his own blood. He was near death when the surfmen brought him into the beach. His injuries were so horrific that men standing on the beach vomited in the sand. Dozens of ladies fainted. Telephone operators were ordered to send warnings to nearby hotels. Within the hour, every beach up and down the shore was closed. After Bruder died, a respected doctor carefully studied the jagged wounds on his legs and torso. The doctor, also an experienced fisherman, was certain that there was only one marine creature capable of causing such injuries: a large shark. This time, there were few doubts. By the next morning, headlines blared from front pages of newspapers around the world. "Monster shark kills again!" Overnight, the image of the shark was transformed. The tame creatures of the sea were suddenly seen as bloodthirsty monsters with a taste for human flesh. As scientists would eventually realize, though, this image of sharks was also incorrect. Large predatory sharks can and do eat just about anything, but today's shark experts agree that even famous man-eating species like great white or tiger sharks do not deliberately seek out human prey. Perhaps the shark that killed Van Zandt and Bruder was injured or weakened or unable to hunt for its usual prey, such as seals or sea lions. We can never know what caused this shark to attack humans, but the ferocious man-eater of New Jersey, as it was called, would soon kill again. By July 12th, when Joseph and Michael Dunn and Jerry Holohan jumped into Matawan Creek, the panic over the shark attacks had died down. The boys must have heard about the attacks, listening to the grisly stories with pounding hearts and wide-eyed fascination. But why would they worry? Maybe there was a bloodthirsty shark somewhere in the ocean, but Matawan Creek, 15 miles inland, seemed as safe as a bathtub. In fact, the creek was connected to the Atlantic Ocean, its waters rising and falling with the ocean tides. Area fishermen routinely traveled into the creek from the Atlantic Ocean. They cut through the Raritan Bay and then drove their boats directly into the creek. If a boat could make that journey, why couldn't a large shark? One of the few people who clearly understood this was a retired sea captain named Thomas Cottrell. He had been strolling along the creek earlier that day in the town of Matawan, about 1.5 miles from Cliffwood. Gazing out onto the water, the old fisherman's eyes locked on a chilling sight. A large fin slicing through the mud-brown waters. He stared dumbstruck, sure his vision was playing tricks on him. But the creature came closer, the sun lighting it up so Cottrell could have no doubts about what he was looking at. A huge shark. The captain raced to Main Street and into the crowded barber shop. "There's a shark in the creek," he boomed. Cottrell expected the men to jump to their feet and follow him to the creek, but nobody budged. And Captain Cottrell couldn't help noticing how some of the men raised their eyebrows and smirked. The captain understood. These people thought he was just a confused old man. Nobody was going to believe his story. Well, that's all for today. I'm excited to pick up with you tomorrow for the 4th installment of the true stories of the shark attacks of 1916.